Welcome back, team. The 2024 Club Northern Super Regional Championship is about ready to be underway between the D2 men's side. I'm Darian Lovelace, joined by none other than Lance Kavanaugh. Much love always. You're here today. We talked about the Impalas yesterday. We've got the tale of the two semis. Both were comeback kids. The Growlers lost in our original one, ended in tragedy, but the Impalas now have the opportunity for a Cinderella story. Lance, talk us through these two teams. The Denver Barbarians will be in the stripes, and then we've got on the right-hand side, that'll be the Impalas. Lance, talk us through what we saw yesterday.
Well, first thing, we're talking about a Denver side that were last year's D2 national champions. Not any kind of question of the kind of team that they are. They've had great success just historically. The Barbarians have been a feature in the USA club rugby scene for upwards of two decades, and this Indy team, upstart squad who found a core group to make things work. Lost a few players from yesterday's game. Grueling game to run a double back is going to be very, very tough to get a back-to-back win, but both these teams are primed and ready to go. And the action has already started deep in the Indy side defensively.
And the Barbarians end up getting an advantage with that after a mistake there by the Impalas. So we're going to see the first scrum of the game going in favor of the Barbarians. Yesterday we got to see two extremely competitive matches between the side, but Denver Barbarians really making a mess of their opposition with the semifinal, and the Impalas, they had to work very hard to get here. So Lance, we know all about how we need to win the recovery battle.
Yeah, and these back-to-back matchups when you're going into playoffs, super regionals, and finals, the most important thing is to get in the pool, get your stretches, make sure that everybody is as loose as possible, worked out some of those kinks, so when it's time for game time the next day, recovery cannot be part of the reasons that you don't have success. You got to make sure you take care of that, and the champions do. The champions have to. So let's see which team is best prepared physically for this matchup as this game goes along.
And the Impalas get the scrum and a free kick there. So right off to the races is the number 8. Takes it right into the heart of the defense. The Barbarians come up on a launch defense. It gets lobbed by the number 10 and goes straight out of bounds. So we will have a line out going to the Barbarians, but much further away than where they originally had just a beautiful attacking position.
And that is a plus for Indy to get out of their own end, find a way to relieve some pressure. This is the start and the groundwork for what they will do as far as playing territorial, because it's a smart approach against a team as experienced as the Denver Barbarians.
Barbarians hit it in the middle of the line out. It comes out quick from the top, and now we're underway. Just right off of the first receipt, they go straight to the boot. That's a tactic there done by Kilfoyle, and the chase comes on by the Barbarians, but the Impalas fullback does well to kick it out of bounds and relieve the pressure.
And it seems as Denver is going to play that same kind of tactical approach, try to pin this Indy team deep in their own end. They figure that's where they can find the most success. And if both teams are going to play a tactical approach, don't be surprised if there's any penalties anywhere near the 22-meter line, that they're going to accept that 3 points and try to get that penalty conversion.
Faking in the middle, they go to the front. There's a competition there by shoulder, but it does put the scrum half under pressure there, so the Barbarians are taking quid to ground. Kafanek is now in, so the number 8 steps into play scrum half. That was Tawny. And things just kind of slow to move. It's stuck at the back as the scrum half was slow to get back up there. 2 runners by the forward pack lead the brigade, and support comes in as they secure their own ball. A behind the back pass finds it in the hands of the outside center, who's taken quickly to ground. Just flooding over the top is the Impalas. Looks like they might have flooded a little bit too quickly, and a penalty gets called. The Barbarians decide to go quickly. Doing well to recycle the ball is the Barbarians. It sounds like it might have gotten tipped off the hands of the Impalas, and it rolls into touch there. Go in favor of the Impalas. It looks like the arm stays on the right-hand side.
And they go to that wide attack on the far side of the field as we've seen, but Indy had everything matched up. Numbers were beautifully set. Great tackle. Unfortunately, a penalty was forced, and then opting to go for the line out immediately. Instead, they try to play a phase, nothing there, kick behind, and try to pin this Indy team deep. If the tactical way is how Denver sees themselves finding success, this can be a long day for Indy if their boots aren't on and if they aren't ready to counterattack properly.
And this game is the knockout game, so both teams are competing for a position to go to nationals for the USA Club Rugby for the D2 division in men's. We'll be bringing it live to you May 18th and 19th through Next Level Rugby. Myself, Lance Kavanaugh, John Broker, 17th, 18th, and 19th to bring you all of the action the whole time. We'll be there. So only good stuff to come from these rugby weekends as the dreams of a championship just vie within these two sides. The Barbarians are remaining patient on attack there. They go to the right-hand side, a double skip pass. Looks like it might have gone a little bit wayward, but an advantage looks like it's being played. And Lance, yesterday we kind of saw a lack of discipline hit the Impalas in waves. It led to 2 yellow cards for them, so discipline issues already setting in early.
And I believe that game itself had a lot of discipline issues. They were bailed out in a sense by a lot of the things that their opposition was doing, and they're going to play a Denver team who's not going to make those same kind of mistakes. These Barbarians have been tested on their road here. They're going to make sure that structurally their integrity defensively is strong, and they won't give up anything that's unnecessary as far as penalties. And as I said before, first opportunity inside near the 22 to take those 3 points. Denver decides that it's a good time to get on the scoreboard, take control of the lead early, and it seems as though their game plan is set. I wonder how expansive they'll play as time goes on, as Sean Kilfoyle sets up for this kick. Easy 3 points, and Denver's been on the attacking end on the field this entire 5 to 6 minutes.
Well, Kilfoyle will have the ability to throw a little kill shot there. Looks like the ball did not go through the sticks there, so good tactic to try and kick, but we'll see if it'll cost them at the end of this match.
At worst, you find yourself with a 22-meter drop, and they're going to play the tactical game and kick to the corners again after a couple phases and pin this Indy team deep, it looks like.
Looks like they heard you, Lance, as they go extremely deep there. The Barbarians, it goes over the heads of the fullback in the wing. They elect to go ahead and kick it out of bounds, straight out there in front of the 22. So it's going to be a line out going in favor of the Impalas deep within. And this is a dramatic change in territory.
Yeah, and it seems as though Denver had their plan set, but execution is the name of the game. The decision to kick, probably the correct decision with the pressure there, maybe even moving the ball towards the middle of the field. But the kick is wayward, goes straight into touch on the full. And now Indy has an attack platform for the first time today.
Only about 7.5 minutes gone here in this first half. Both teams really sharing the possession here is always a good sign of a very evenly competitive match here as the Barbarians go up and they end up with it. Not really allowing much time for the possession for the Impalas. They come up aggressively in the line of defense, forcing a kick. It goes up, and the Impalas, they've got 4 back there waiting, elect to go for a kick for themselves. This is cheeky. It's back in the 22, so good pressure being applied there by the Impalas, but well to recover was Kilfoyle. Stays very cool in those circumstances, so he works it back into the forwards now, and they're outside of the 22. Ball has been brought back, so Kilfoyle makes the decision to keep the attack going. Forwards come over the top there, fly half now in contact. The forwards and the rest of the brigade around the right corner. Looks like more forwards still working to get around. The fitness, Lance, by the Barbarians looks stellar right now.
Still early, but they are definitely playing with a level of speed, and they're going to use the tactics.
And Lance, we just talked about speed, and the line speed coming in from the Impalas has led to a bat down from Kilfoyle. And the Impalas just flood over the top there. They're about a meter outside. They did the pick and goes, but now they like to go wide. There's space on the outside. They've got it to the wing, and the dive in. It looks like that was the number 14 for the Impalas. Good Oh, good job to the number 14, 5-0. The Impalas on top.
Executing up for their way to tactically kick and get space. But the flanker from the wrong side of the ruck charges it down, spins, gathers his feet, and picks the ball up. Fantastic play by number 7, Sam Well. And for Sam, well, that leads to a try for the Impalas. They found the space around the outside. Barbarians trying to close in. And just like that, 5 for the good as Isaac Good dives into the try zone. What an incredible play by the Impalas. And we have to wonder, does Denver continue this tactical approach? Those are 2 kick opportunities that led to them being restricted and in their own end. Impalas playing fantastic defense and applying pressure, giving themselves a great opportunity. 5-0 for the Impalas.
That was just a good try coming at you, that combo. You don't really see it often that a back row connects with a wing, but whenever it ends that way, it's always magic. So we're already seeing the Impalas really starting to step up the ante. Yesterday, Lance, we talked about how it was almost came in waves of emotion for them, but they are so tenacious when it comes to this competition. These are knockout rounds, so it means everything. Temple there is at the back of the ruck and ready to play after a clean kick receipt going to the Impalas. His partner in crime, Inari, though, is just taken to ground after good pressure defense. So they choose to relieve some of it by going to the boot. There's about 4 Barbarians back there, so they've got good coverage. The number 15 for the Barbarians decides to stick it to him. Pavlakis finds his support there, and more bodies are flooding in order to try and make this work. Southworth goes north. He gets to go forward with a big hit off of 1. Forwards are coming in, and also at ruck time is the Impalas, but they do well to hold their own. Another one that holds onto the passes at inside center. It's moving now to the left. The support looks a tad bit delayed there, and it looks a little bit ill-disciplined as the Barbarians get a penalty with the Impalas, but some competitive collisions here already, Lance.
This game has already started to be a treat to watch. Both teams are ferocious in these tackle contests. Indy scoring first, hitting Denver right in the mouth early on, and then they opt to play the tactical game. Big bump on the end, winger getting knocked off a bit, and both teams, this is highly contested, and I believe both teams understand what's on the line. A berth into the Final Four, keeping your national championship dreams alive. I understand the feeling, and I know that both teams are going to give it their all, leaving nothing on the field today.
And something that we all love to talk about, the back row for both sides is extremely skilled. They're dynamic, and they're really showcasing a lot of capability here as we see the weak side flanker taken in right at the point of contact. It gets bobbled around, though, and the one to pick it up there is going to be Barton from the Impalas. So a turnover. They decide to kick it away because there isn't as much coverage for the Barbarians. They weren't expecting that. So the fullback has to make a decision. They switch back on the inside. So Wing came across, and he's getting some good ground there. Nobody really coming up yet. So the Barbarians make something out of nothing there and find each other in the support with a good line break there by the number 14. He started that, Vassar. And continuing to press on. Vassar plays at scrum half. The work rate here. Can they get rewarded with a try? Barbarians now have options on both sides. Looks like Kenny is down for the Impalas, but he gets up. There's also the number 8. It looks like Tani is slow to get up for the Barbarians. He's tough. This doesn't look very good for them.
Ooh, the red goes back, but it's definitely going to be a yellow card. I have to keep an eye out to see what that was an infringement, but that's going to hurt Indy because their defensive line for the first 15 minutes of this matchup has been absolutely stellar. Collision here is always, both teams are, it's a fight. It's a fight every time we get into these tackle contests. And maybe, I don't know, in those highlights, you maybe can argue a high tackle, but I would have to know specifically what the infringement was that caused that color to come out. And the referee had to slow the game down himself, not just for the yellow, but Denver has a player down. Indy has some players that were slow to get up. And And I believe that's the medical Pervy. She's a feature for Denver, really big as far as the Denver area, as far as medical goes. And just like that, Indy find themselves in a hole being down a man. This could change the
We
whole
saw,
complexity of this game.
yeah, and
Oh,
we
the
saw
pull through.
yesterday that.
Oh, the
Ooh.
pull through. He yellow carded him for the
Oh.
pull through on that ruck. The
Let's
prop
see
was
it.
into the ruck. He got contested and he grabbed the shirt. You see the pink scrum cap and the pink shirt underneath. Grabbed him and drug him through.
Whoa.
And the referee is having none of that. Gives up a yellow. It's unfortunate play, but now Indy's down a man.
Looks like Tani just wanted to put on some headgear there. Looks like he is back up and moving, and looks like they're just taping together the old eyebrow. Us back row players are really known for having those super fun injuries on the head. So looks like he'll come back into the game after them taping it together. But if there's one thing that the Impalas did yesterday 2 times in a row is that they held their own even with 2 yellow cards. So right now, we'll see if the Barbarians can really take advantage of the power plays, because there's something to be said about this Impala defense. They really don't allow a lot of line breaks. And even when they do, work rate from players like Inari and their inside center, the number 12, Marsh, he just makes a mess of things. So Barbarians are going to have to play very smart rugby and recognize where those weaknesses are going to be.
And Indy has, like you said, their defensive line structure has been exceptional, especially in the first 15 minutes of this matchup. Denver has a lot of firepower. Let's see what a man down can they find a way to hold the ship.
Denver hit the 10, and then they hit a forward pod waiting in the middle. One player and one rucker over the top gives them some more numbers on this left-hand side. Recognizing that they're down a men, the Barbarians seem to rev up. They do a behind-the-back pass. It gets taken straight in by Schultz. And they are trying to work this left-hand side here. The Impalas, though, remaining strong in their defensive line. They come up with a good launch. Low body height might have gotten them a little bit of a penalty there. Just some space to work with. And the Impalas, they get out of dodge, even though they are down a man. And they just lost LeMaster. And they elect for the scrum there.
Tick, 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 tick. Any second, any time off the clock, you're not playing defense. You're not in your own territory, especially with a yellow card on the board, is a bonus. The chop tackle is on and right on top of the ball in no time. And that is a clear not releasing by the ball carrier. Exceptional play by Indy. And Denver had an opportunity. Let's see what they can make of it after this kick. Let's see what happens after this set piece. But Denver putting Indy through the phases a little bit, playing on their end of the field. And just like that, Indy finds a way to get the ball back.
Marsh looks like he might have taken a knock down there. He was the one that drew that penalty and just seemed to have fallen awkwardly. But we talked about this Impala defense, and now we can kind of touch on the Denver Barbarians attack there. They've got a really good connection within the inside centers as well, but their work rate in the back row with Southworth, Captain Wormer as well, and then Atani just taping up the head ready to go. They really are showcasing how dynamic their forwards can be. Hopefully Marsh here, the number 12, can get up and get moving, as he just seems to tape a cleat together possibly.
You got to understand, this is the same team that won yesterday, no time on the clock. Beautiful, beautiful defensive stand that they had at moments. And at the very end of the game, when they were going in to score to take the game away, too many infringement. Referee gives them a penalty try, walk-off penalty try. So they've proven that when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, deep into time, past the 80-minute mark, they can still be locked in and do things. But even with a 5-point lead and in a short-handed situation right now, very smart and composed, going for the territory, waste a little bit more time. Let's see how they attack without a man on the field, and can they play expansive, or do they play that tactical approach they've had so far in the early part of this game?
Right now they've got a yellow, and it looks like Marsh is still down in the backfield. So the Impala is playing with only 13 solidly against the Barbarians. They do well to get their line out, and Temple seems like he might have been under a lot of pressure, got a little bit too close to the sideline, and it falls off of a Denver Barbarian foot. So it looks like it'll go with a line out to the Impalas.
And it's more time. Tick, 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 tick.
Referee not liking how much time is being wasted by the Impalas. They finally get set. Shoulder there at the top. He fakes in the front, and then they go back to the number 6, Nay. Nay's got to back it down, but waiting back there is his prop, Irvin. And so Temple moves it to Marsh, who's finally up and playing. They're at full steam, but they lose it at that point. It looks like Well might have knocked that on or right into the hands of the Barbarians. And so this defense is still remaining true as they loop around to this right-hand side. And an offload, it gets them back on the inside. So the support now being able to find the connection. So Barbarians really trying to find the seams with that yellow. Where is the space? The space, though, doesn't really matter whenever the ball gets flung around. And so it ends up in the hands of the Impalas. The Impalas going right to the boot of All Good, boots it down. The number 14, it goes behind the head. Question is, did he touch it? Still stays in favor of the Barbarians, but they were under a lot of pressure, and Impala is doing a good job of getting themselves out of these not good situations.
Tick, tick, tick. That yellow card time is rolling. Indy pushing Denver back, denying them with that knock on. And I don't know why that Denver back three went for the ball in such a way. Luckily, no touch, and Denver keeps possession. But, man, this Indy defense is really showing me something over the first 20 minutes of this match.
So Denver down in the 22. We've got only a 5-point deficit here, and about 19 minutes gone in this first half for the Northern Regional Championship. Now, winner of this will be moving on to the next weekend, May 17th, 18th, and 19th for the D2 Club Rugby. So knockout rounds that mean everything. It looks like there's some strong body height that came in from Marsh there. Over top of the ball, they go to the boot after a lot of pressure. And the number 14 has got it. The Impalas, good, makes a couple of meters and finds a support. But there was a knock on, so it's not all good there. And it will be a scrum for the Barbarians. And Lance, we're going to keep talking about the yellow card just because the Impalas holding their own is something to be talked about. But soon to be back on is that number 1.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of time now. The knock-on was just so marginal. It's just the smaller things that happen. That would have been a great opportunity to hold the ball just a little bit longer. But now the focus has to turn to this set-piece scrum with a, I'm assuming, a replacement front row in the inside of the scrum. Let's see how they absorb this attack by Denver.
They've got somebody up in the front in order to replace, looks like Locke. Rob stepped up for LeMaster, who took Le Seat just a second ago. So now they're at 7 in the scrum. And that yellow card is slowly dwindling away there. And the Barbarians just not able to get points on the board. And the Impalas holding on to that lead by just a seam here, as the Barbarians now have an opportunity to attack. The scrum holds strong there, and the wing comes across to the left-hand side where the inside center, Marsh, just puts him down into the ground there. And not much meters gained there for the Barbarians. So now they find some strength in the forward pods. Forwards now working. We've talked about the back row, but somebody to also talk about is Gorman, the lock. Makes some progress as well there. They do a little chip kick over. Kafanik spotted some space there, and the chase is on. The Barbarians have a whole chase footing on there, and a big hit comes in from an inside center, and it knocks that Impalas player. But we'll take a look back at this tackle. Some people look a little unhappy with it.
Oh, I'm very happy to be sitting up here away from that contact. Goodness gracious, I do not want to be a part of that. These guys are going at it, and those are some of the biggest contacts when you're dealing with a kick chase. Ball carrier has nowhere to go, especially pinned to the sideline. It's nothing but a big slam action, and now Denver throwing in a lineout.
Grand slam goes in favor of the Barbarians there off of a huge kick chase. And Tawny with the head tape decides to take it to the line. And Tawny wants some of his own. The interplay that's happening here with the forwards. And then they connect with their conductor. That's Kilfoyle. And Kilfoyle gets 5 points and right in between the sticks, a kick to come lands. This was something that the Barbarians needed before the Impalas are back to full strength.
And they've been playing fast and progressively more fast as time goes on. They got that high tackle penalty, didn't waste an absolute second, going in the same flow that the play was already headed, quick tap, and they just found a way to support each other. You got guys on the inside for the offload, guys looping around on the outside, and they just found that the integrity central to this Indy's defensive line was ruined. Kilfoyle right underneath the sticks, and he's killed the lead that Indy's had, and now Denver has taken their own 7-5 with Indy still having time on that yellow card.
We're going to talk about it time and time again, this contest between the Barbarians, but the connection within the back row, and then they connect with the lock there. That was the offload coming in from Langskov, and Denver, the Barbarians, just showcasing what their forwards can do in open space. But Lance, we talk about rugby in 2 40-minute halves, but the momentum changes probably around every 20 minutes. You really start to see who's going to dominate that segment of time, and you just hope to be in the right spot at the right time for the last 20. But this 5-7 lead, and we still have 20 minutes left to play in the first half. This is quite the match.
And depending on the bounce of the ball, momentum can change in 5-second intervals, right? It's just crazy how this game can be sometimes. And with both teams playing for what's at stake here, anything can happen.
And Langskov bullying his way at that defensive line. It looks like, well, almost had him held up there, but the contact just wasn't to referee standard. So it's going to go to the boot of Kilfoyle. And the Impalas, one thing that really got them into a lot of stressful situations was poor game management and discipline. And we're starting to kind of see it as they get frustrated with possibly the Barbarians taking the lead for the first time.
And the speed that the Barbarians have played with a little bit can start to fluster a team. You're under immense pressure at all times, and you know it. Even if you hold up every so often, you still feel that pressure, knowing that this team on attack is going to bring a certain level of speed and physicality. The integrity of defense matters so much, and communication is key, especially in these dog times as we get to the end of the first half.
The Impala is back to full strength, so they've got a match defense there as Marsh comes across and makes a hit on Schultz. Forwards come across now. Schultz is a little bit slow to get up after that hit with Marsh. Both centers feeling it on day 2. The center of attentions. They've been through some collisions. And continuing to move the ball is Kilfoyle as the ball gets bobbled behind and well ends up with it. team. Thanks for sticking with us throughout our little bout of technical difficulties, but we are back and we're at it, and it's still 7-5. Denver Barbarians are on top, so not to say that you didn't miss much, but it wasn't enough to miss a score. So crisis averted here as we get back underway. Barbarians will find it though. There's a penalty that was deep within, right outside the 22. Kilfoyle, he's going to go to boot, and it goes out over the 50, and it's going to be a line out going to the Barbarians.
Whoo! I was sweating. With our luck, it could have been 6 tries that happened during that technical issue, but thank goodness we are back. Unfortunately, no points were scored. You know, good and bad, right? Unfortunately, but both teams looks like the tempo. We got to figure out where the tempo lies. But with this kick out of bounds and the throw in to come for this line out, about 10 minutes left in this half, man. With things that's on stake right now, I did not want to miss a second, but I'm so happy we're back. And it seems to be a conversation with the ref trying to figure out what's going on, him and the AR.
9 minutes left to go here in this first half. The Impala is down by simply a conversion here. There hasn't been a lot of scoring there. Whenever yesterday both teams had to do a lot of that in order to get here, but they understand that this is knockout rounds here. Whoever takes this away will be the regional champion and earn the right to play here in 2 weeks. Earning the right to get the ball back is the Barbarians, with a fair contest at the beginning for the Impalas. The running of the number 8 for the Barbarians gets him well into the half. Excuse me, that looked like that was Southworth. So Southworth knows nothing but north, as so does his companion Locke over there on the left-hand side for the Barbarians. And making good ball movement here as the centers work to get the ball into a better space. Kilfoyle has to come around because the ball was available, and somebody tries to kick it on through. An offsides penalty, though, comes in for the Impalas. So the Barbarians are well within scoring territory. Could this be the answer that they need to really get in the heads of the Impalas before the half?
And opting to go for the line-out situation and not those attempts for points. The Barbos are going to probably lean more towards a maul or find a way to really constrict this defensive line and go around them. But the maul option seems to be there. Let's see if they go shopping in the maul, or do they take it to the back line and attack the middle of the field.
Barbarians hit it in the middle and find Tawny, and they go to the maul, but doing well to recycle is the Barbarians. So the Impalas are having to bring their forwards back. Ball ends up dropping to the ground, though, but it went backwards. So referee says play on there, and Southworth is over top of it, but so is the Impalas. They get cleared out, though, so the Barbarians are on the attack still. Kilfoyle moves it behind the back, and it goes to the fullback there. Pavlakis shakes off one. It gets Good Night turned in, and Good Night takes out of bounds the wing, and it looks like the centers come across, and they might have taken out the fullback there for the Barbarians. Pavlakis might have gotten tossed out, and that's exactly what the Impalas needed in order to keep the Barbarians out of try time.
And that was absolutely close. Again, this Indy Impalas defense will not rest, will not take a moment off. Looks like they were almost split open out on the edge. Fullback having a crazy run, and the one-hand flick over the top to find the winger on the edge. And that pass right there is ridiculous, but it wasn't enough to get the ball down in the try zone, and the AR is definitely on top of it. 5-meter line out for Indy as they have a little huddle to figure out, drawing a play in the dirt to figure out how they're going to get through this Denver defense.
Trying to come up with the best plan possible are the Impalas. So finally we get underway after a huddle. Going to a farther spot behind the middle pod. Looks like that's where it was supposed to land, but it ends up in the hands of the Barbarians there after a turnover. So now the Barbarians, they're only about 5 meters outside. Can they get some points on the board before the half? An inside cut with the prop ends up getting them about 2 meters outside. And the Barbarians go to their forwards, trying to hit the hinge. Is that the number 8? It could have been the number 3, excuse me. Continuing to dig is the fly half. Tani does the quick hands to a center. Looks like might have gotten caught a little high there is Schroeder. And because of that, they're going to go ahead and bring it back for the penalty. No ill intent there. Referee doesn't have the conversation, so Schroeder still remains on.
And looks like they're going to set up for a tap and go play.
Tapped by the 9. They do elect for the quick tap, and it looks like they almost allowed him through, but forward doing what a recycle, and that recycling ends up paying off well for them. We'll try and get you that number here. It just happened so quick. But the Barbarians now 12-5 over the Impalas.
And when they play with a little bit of speed, that is one of the ways they're catching these Impalas lacking a little bit defensively. Just then, quick hit up, immediately back around, and another forward pod, and it was just too much too soon for this Impalas, especially since they lined so many people up that close to touch. They had a forward pod in the 5-meter channel, which drew in some of the bigger, stronger players from Indy to handle that area, and all they had to do was fold back around to the left and found Indy's defense wanting. I thought with the penalty they were going to go to the mall. They were going to go kick for line out, go mall shopping. But instead, they decided to drive to the gas station, get a quick coffee, hot dog, 5 points. Now they're headed back home with a full meal if this conversion is good.
Kilfoyle feels full after that one as he gets the conversion. So our score is going to be 14-5, and we've got only a few minutes left here in this first half, but still working to get you that number. Looks like it was one of the props there for the Barbarians. We'll get that to you in just a second to make sure we get the shout out, but we've got about 2.5 minutes left to go in this first half for the men's D2 regional championship for the North. And so both teams are going to really want to either seal the deal or catch up if they want to start off the second half with a bang here. Going a little deep into the 22 meters, the Barbarians catch it, and there's a contest there. Southworth loses the ball, though, at ruck time, and Schroeder gets it to Barton. We haven't really seen Barton very much with the ball there, so nice to see him in action. Kinney just dives at ankles there. Looks like he might have hit heads with another player. They're a little bit slow to get up is the Barbarians. Both of them fall back, but it looks like we might have had an infringement on a knock on.
Yeah, the original knock.
And it looks like that might have been Langskoff, the number 5 for the Barbarians, who took a pretty hard hit there on the head. Just trying to get low in this contact. There are some powerful forwards out there on this Impala side.
Yeah, and that drive through from that Impala, looked like an Impala prop. Those incidental head contacts are some of the worst to feel. He had a scrum cap on. Didn't matter, still felt it. As he has to take a knee so that Purvey can make sure that he's not bleeding at the top of his head, check his vitals, get him some water, make sure his hair is nice and greased and moosed up, and now he's back in the game. But this Impala team, when they have ball in hand, those big boys are ferocious. There's been a lot of big contacts throughout this matchup, and Denver doesn't seem to be backing down defensively, and Indy is making Denver work for every meter that they've gained this game.
Working hard for every meter also is the scrum of the Impalas, as Schroeder does some good footwork in order to keep it in, and an advantage goes up. So that was just sheer determination and domination by the scrub. A skip pass comes in from Marsh, and good night just kind of gets a little bit isolated. That's everybody's worst nightmare, but dreams become reality here for the Impalas as their number 12 Marsh, he touches it down for a try, and so 10-14 now, and the Impalas find themselves right back in the thick of it.
Impressive play. You would think that the slip would disrupt the winger in such a way. That isn't Good Night, though. Good Night is a smaller guy. I believe he got knocked out in the game yesterday. So, but just you would think that slip would really create a bad situation for Indy, but no, not him. Back on his feet, back strong with this double skip here. And he tried to cut, just found the grass just a little. It was watered really well. They got a really good irrigation system there at the Blaze Field. But because they weren't prepared and how quick Indy went, just too strong around that corner. Two, Barbo's defenders unable to corral him, push him out of bounds, or do anything. And just inside of the touchline, Indy adds 5. That is a miraculous bit of play for Indy to get a try back.
Tempo goes to boot. Looks like it's going to veer to the right. So 10-14. Both teams have 2 tries, but Denver just able to come away with the conversions. We've got a whole second half coming for you for this D2 Club Northern Regional Championship. Stay with us, team. Welcome back to Chicago, Illinois, where we were playing the Club Northern Regional D2 Club Rugby Championship. My name is Darian Lovelace, joined by Lance Kavanaugh, and now we know all of the names of all of the players, so we'll be getting it right from here on out now that we have our introductions down. But Lance Cav, talk us through this first half, 14-10, the Barbarians on top.
One of the features of this Indy team is a strong defensive line, roaring and raging forward. That charge down, immaculate, which led to a try on the outside. The skip pass here, magical, finding the space and sliding in, diving into the try line. The quick tap by Denver, showing that if they play with a little bit of speed, they can find this Indy team wanting, find the space that they need, scoring a try, he'll foil early, getting points. And again, off a penalty tap, they find themselves going quick around the corner. Indy had no way to handle that, especially where their forwards were positioned. And this try right before the half, multiple players having a shot at the ball carrier, but Denver unable to bring him down, unable to get him out of bounds. And Indy finds a way to not even the score, but bring it back closer, make it a tighter matchup as we start this second half. Both teams have been going back and forth, and then we're going to see if the fight from yesterday and the recovery to get them to this Sunday is going to play itself into this game as we have a second half. One of these teams has a date with destiny in Austin, Texas in 2 weeks.
And the Impalas will go ahead and get us underway, fielded cleanly by the number 5. Now that is going to be Goldblum. I've been calling him Lance Cobb, but now I know who you are. So he's been everywhere. And then the work rate done by 7 and 8, Ronan and Wormer, is something to be admired for the Barbarian side. But moving in through the backs, they go ahead and showcase the talent out there. They're met by a big defense coming in from Wells on the Impalas. And so the Denver Barbarians have a lot of work to do here. Working really hard at the point of contact, though, was Southworth. Southworth just bullies Kinney at the point of contact, and a not rolling away penalty for the Impalas get the Barbarians the first penalty of the half.
And the one thing that Indy has to do is hold the integrity of their defensive line, which has been very important for them during the course of the year. But also, they cannot keep giving up penalties. They have to find a way to minimize mistakes and not allow the referee to get into this matchup. That's one way that can ruin their game plan, especially with how the defensive line moves fast and jumps into the face of their opposition.
Double whistle gets blown up by the referee, so we'll have a reset here, and it looks like Barbarians will still have control of this possession, but the Impalas set for a contest. Nay and Schroeder are both big threats there, having to sink over the top of the height. They get a little nervous there, and the ball goes wayward, so not straight penalty drawn by the number 2, Ronan, gets them a scrum for the Impalas.
And this right here is a great time for the Impalas to really set exactly how they're going to start out this second half. Set piece, we saw a territorial game between both teams earlier in the first half and in the beginning of the first half. That worked really well for the Impalas. Let's see if they continue that trend and try to play deeper into Denver's side of the field.
That front row on the left-hand side just goes straight to ground, so referee switches side to kind of ask that the front row adjust the body height. Getting set for the scrum and possibly to receive the ball is Brown for the Barbarian side. Scrum set and underway as the Impalas hold strong there at the front row. This looks a lot better. Under the watchful eye of referee, the adjustment has been made. Inari moves it to Marsh. Marsh dummies and goes, and Barton just not able to connect. He rucks over top and secures possession. Temple a little bit slow to get that ball out there. Looks like the Barbarians almost got caught, but a chip kick over the top gives a little bit of isolation there to Pavlakis. Pavlakis decides to move it to the number 14. And a whistle blows. Looks like there might have been a not releasing penalty there. And the Impalas, the number 1, Limaster, Already has a yellow to the name and kind of going a little bit rogue there. Might have a taste of the white line fever as we'll take a look at this penalty.
Yeah, just absolute amazing tackle. There's no one there. He's already on the ball. No real opportunity for the referee to call, not rolling away. Clearly over the ball as the poacher gets his hands on it. Absolutely clean call. And for them to give up a penalty, dead center, this close to the sticks, making this a 1-point game would be very important for the Impalas plan moving forward, because now it's pretty much relative to a tie game. You still got to fight, still got to continue, but the game definitely isn't out of reach. You don't need a try to somehow get the lead again.
Tempo goes to the boot, the flags go up, so now that will bring our game to a 1-point lead. Indy started out on top over the Barbarians, and then 2 tries after a yellow card from the Impalas led to the Barbarians now being on top, but only by a mere point. And we've only got about 4.5 minutes gone here at this D2 regional championship. But Lance, both teams played in matches yesterday. The Barbarians scored a little bit more tries and were able to get more rest than the Impalas. But this game, very competitive between the two sides.
Yeah, Indy had to definitely fight their way to the bitter end. I mean, they literally scored a penalty try with no time left on the clock into referee's time to the extra time. An amazing job by them really finding a way to get a penalty to win that matchup. The Barbarians beat the other Barbarians of Milwaukee pretty handily and kind of ran away with it as the game progressed. But both teams seem to be roaring to go. I don't think recovery has been an issue. I don't think that's part of the equation of what's happening here. But instead, it's a fight between two sides really trying to find their way into the glory of a Final Four.
Grenfell goes to the boot after a not rolling away penalty from the Barbarians and finds it into touch. So we'll have the Impalas set and ready for this line out. And as Lance, we're going to continue to harp on this. This is the last 40 minutes of the weekend, so you'll really start to see what teams make those smart decisions when they're under pressure, finding it not in the best of attacking platforms. The Impalas do well to clean it up, so Inari decides to give a little bit of a hap gap there, but Tawny, or excuse me, that's Wormer who takes it down, and then somebody else who's getting a taste of their own medicine was good. He's taken quickly. Excuse me, I think that's Pope. Pope, we finally found you. And the Impala's now under a lot of pressure here. The ball does go backwards, but they're not making as many meters as what they were before. Temple gets a little bit tripped up there, so he just gets tackled right back into traffic. Somehow gets an offload to the forwards, who get it back to Inari. He shakes off one, cuts back inside to another. Temple gets his foot caught on there, and it seems to be a little bit of a late delayed reaction coming in from Schultz.
No, not the card. Not for that, sir. That's unfortunate. The guy on the ground. And I want to see if the ref is speaking. No. So we seen earlier, the guy on the ground was using his foot to hold the ball up.
What color was that?
Yeah, maybe that whistle is over. Maybe that whistle is through. But the guy on the ground really infringed on the ball. Whistle blown, scrum half lets up, and just way too aggressive at the wrong time. Go ahead and take those colors, have a seat. You got 10 minutes to think about your actions. But really, we seeing that the scrum half on 2 phases before that, he's trying to milk a little bit of that penalty. He's tripping over a guy that really wasn't in his way. And just now, the guy on the ground is using his feet to impede the ball. That's the real culprit. That's the guy that really was going to get a stop. That's the guy that the referee really was dealing with. And that extra hit at the end just made it completely worse. It was already going to be a yellow, but now instead of the guy on the ground getting a yellow, big hit gets the yellow. And it's unfortunate for Denver. Let's see if they can figure out how to keep this 1-point lead while being one man down.
And wanting to go quickly was Schroeder, but he's called back there quickly by referee. Just wasn't in front of the mark. So they will elect for the scrum yet again. They do have Schultz in the sin bin. And so you can see what it means to players like Ney and Schroeder. They're already showing a lot of promise there. The back row between these two sides is extremely impressive. The work rate has just been exemplary.
And really, these forward packs have really been going back and forth. They've been
And it looks like it's going to be a reset for the Impalas. And the Barbarians just trying to regather here. You can see kind of the frustration coming in from Temple. He wants to play. And we'll get back underway. And the Impalas, well within the 40, they use that scrum to bully the opposing scrum side from the Barbarians. Pressure comes on though from the 9, and they do well to field it. The Impalas, an ankle tap tackle gets it right back into the support. So the forwards have to come across. Inari is just under a lot of pressure there. Forwards walking to the breakdown, as we might start to see the fatigue set in for the Impalas. Marsh moves it to the number 14, and he is nearly taken out, but stays inside somehow. So Temple is still working to keep this ball alive here, but we see a lot of players in front of the ball. Hands are starting to go on knees now. And Lance, we kind of were talking about the fatigue that was going to start setting in here.
Yeah, fatigue leads to frustration. Frustration leads to unforced errors, and that just leads to a lost game. Both teams, you can see guys hands on their head, hands on the knees. The day here after a first earlier game Saturday, combined with a team that's better than the team you played the day before, can really lead to some tiring moments. And now the referee is ready to have a conversation about some of the things he's seen. I wonder if we can listen in on the ref.
Might have to play a fun game of rugby lip reading. So it looks like it's just in general about the body height, maybe just chilling out. You see Temple kind of shake. Both captains seem to have the same hand motion of enough is enough. Let's just play rugby. There's no need to even really waste a lot of energy on the emotional aspects of it because it's a 1-point game. These could make a difference. We see Schultz. He has a seat right now in the sin bin because of him losing his cool for just a split second. And that could be the difference maker that the Impalas need. The Barbarians now down a player, need to work extremely hard to keep the Impalas outside of the try zone. The Barbarians get it at the front part of the line out, and so now Kilfoyle shakes up back inside to the forwards who do well to protect that ruck, and they're working around the corner. Back row staying true to form. Ronan, it takes it into contact, and now we've got some more forwards. This is good interplay coming in for them. Trying to get a number for you as he rounds the corner, rounds another one, and this is dramatic play, seeing as how they're out of town with Schultz. He's still having a seat in the sin bin here, but people working to fill his place as the Barbarians continue to press on. The Impalas not really having a lot of an answer. Somebody's got their hands in there. Was it enough to get it done? It looks like that's none other than Marsh, who was able to get a second crucial breakdown. Lemaster, mister, you might just want to pump your brakes there. Gets called back there, wasn't in front of the mark. And talk about our players who we want to run through a brick wall, but we don't want them to lose their cool.
And you seen Marsh get up in absolute beast mode, stopping what looks like an absolute great opportunity for Denver. Denver having a very long break, unfortunately, from the second phase, picked up and went to the short side. Nothing was there, no vacancy, nowhere to sleep or lay your head. Had to go back, and that slowdown gave the Impalas enough time to get back defensively. And by the time the next ruck happened, you had Marsh over the top of it, hands on, with no desire to release the ball. Referees right on top of it. And Indy, bend but don't break, has been the name of the game for these gentlemen over the course of this season, including yesterday. And as they find themselves at midfield, this is an exceptional bit of play defensively by them.
Looks like clock subbed in at the back of the line out. Nate goes up and it's not fielded well, but a little tip back from the number one, excuse me, prop gets it back into the hands of Temple, but it looks like Barbarians are over it. An arm goes out, meaning that there is an advantage there, but referee says play on and the Barbarians want to play. Taking it straight to the line is Castro. Castro gets some go forward there as well. And continuing to bully over the top is Goldblum, and the forwards doing a lot of work, but it looks like there's just a little bit of disconnect there on the left-hand side, so they've got to move back to the right, but somebody who works to get a second touch is Kilfoyle. Connects there with Pavlakis. Kafonek moves it to Southworth. And just a lot of phases there. They're waiting for Schultz to come back, so every possession matters. Choosing to keep it tight now. They are just working this fend. As Castro continuing to work tirelessly. Gets it back inside to the forwards. Lance, the tactic seems to be just keeping it tight within the forwards here. And of course, as I say that, Kilfoyle decides he wants to steal the ball. The backs to try and attack to the left without Schultz going over the top of the attacker. The number 14, he's just not able to take it in. Brown. And Wells puts on a performance of a chase there, coming in to try and counter it, but Kilfoyle is there to wait for the forwards. About 10 phases now gone in this series of attack for the Barbarians. So at some point a mistake either is going to happen or they'll finally break through here. Kilfoyle moves it to Tani, who moves it back inside from the wing. Getting a second touch was Pavlakis there. Scrum or pod formation is set as more forwards come in, but somebody might have gotten their hand in there. Schroeder did, and just heartbreak there for the Barbarians as the Impalas are on the attack, Lance.
Yeah, Indy's defense is incredible. That I counted at least 9 phases, and somehow they found a way to just keep Denver going backwards and backwards, and now they can play for territory as they kick the ball deep. Exceptional defense by Indy.
And we'll see how this chase holds up now that Kilfoyle has it in hand. He goes to boot as well, and it goes behind the back of the Impalas. So it's going to roll out of the 22. And it's well within the 50, so it looks like it's going to, might have been a 50-22 there with Kilfoyle, because the arm stays on the left-hand side, so Barbarians will get the line out there.
Yeah, and they had a numbers advantage as well. They could have played that ball in hand and attack. They had a 3-on-1-on-1 with a defensive line that was staggered after that kick went to the middle of the field instead of clearing off the park or staying to one side. But Denver tactically finding it on the boot, and now they find themselves on the doorstep of what looks like a mall. They might go shopping on this one, and hopefully they find the outfit they want. This Denver mall has been pretty good early on, and they're going right to it immediately.
And they go right to stepping on the throat of the Impalas. Desperate times call for desperate measures, so Nate tries to get over the top. He's got his hands on the ball, and if he keeps hands on the ball, will it be enough to stop the momentum there? Referee is blowing it up because there's bodies everywhere there. We'll see if it's a penalty or if it's just the fact that the Mall did get held up. And a penalty goes in favor of the Barbarians for taking the Mall down.
Ooh. Man, Indy worked really hard to find their way to stop that Mall, and now they have to do it again. We know they're going shopping, but over the top, you see a guy's already locked in there. He can see the ball pulling and pulling, but unfortunately, jumping on top of or over the Mall can be seen as pulling it down. You can't leave your feet in such a way on the Mall. Penalty called, and now they're going to go shopping one more time. Let's see if they leave with a gang of bags, 5 points on this Mall.
Number 8 catches it in the back, and they're ready to rock and roll. But somebody not happy back there. It looks like it might have been a knock on. Referee's got his arms up, and everybody else has hands up as well. Wells getting in there, trying to stir the pot there. Lance, we saw the Impalas get 2 yellow cards in the last match because of just emotions running high there. Looks like more conversations have to be had with captains. So Wormer and Temple get a talking to. And they
And
elect for the scrum there. Impala is now on the 5 meter, but they've got a long way to go. And with a 1 point deficit, and we still have a lot of time on the clock, about 23 minutes, there's still a lot of time here for the Impalas to catch up, but every single second matters.
and it's an exceptionally high tempered game. Both teams, as you see, we've had different moments of shoving. Both teams want this match, and they looking at the opposition who's standing firmly in their way. Indy finds a way to get out of the circumstance they're in after multiple penalties and 2 mauls, and now they're gonna go tactically to get space and get away from their end. If only they can retain ball here and get a clear kick.
And we know that pink scrum cap Schultz, the yellow card is back on there, and the pressure is also on there coming from the Barbarians. Temple gets pinned all the way back, so he goes to a drop kick, and it ends up in the hands of Pavlakis. We'll see if that chase holds strong there as Brown gets around the corner and gets it back inside to the number 15, but Marsh is there to just cherry pick that out of the ground, out of the air, excuse me. Long day figuring this out. Barbarians now having to regather as the Impalas look to exit. Not as much pressure applied there, so the number 15 Grenfell has a little bit more time and kicks it straight out of bounds just right outside of the 22, and it'll be a Barbarians line out.
So much can be said about this Indy defense. At this point, I feel it's so redundant for me to say this. They find themselves getting backed up more and more after a few errant passes, kick the ball to the middle of the field, which is the most dangerous place. Denver goes around the corner, gets to the edge, and turns it over immediately. And Indy is again on defense away from their try line just a bit. Can they hold some more, though? This is a great, great defensive stand so far by the Impalas.
Marsh and Barton connect well in center field on that defensive push against the Barbarians as they continue to fight for every single inch against this defense. We've been talking about the defense of the Impalas, but that's because of the attack that's held strong by the Barbarians here. As they do well to recycle their forwards, they look to go to the back line. Kilfoyle gives a nice behind-the-back pass to Pavlakis, who is not ready to go down until he decides so. Finally taken down whenever his support arrives. And a little bit of isolation might have come from Southworth, but coming from the inside is the support for the Barbarians. They go behind a forward pod, and now they're going to look to move it wide. Good ball movement comes in from the number 8. And it might have looked like Schroeder, the number 8 on the opposing side, might have gotten his hands in there. Referee does not deem it as such. A not releasing penalty, and they're going to go ahead and go quickly. Kilfoyle steps back inside on Schroeder. Keeps it going there, just 1 meter outside of the try zone after a cheeky little offload there, and the Barbarians are knocking at that door. A good interior launch, though, pins them back a couple of meters, but crawling across the ground, just at the white line fever, getting a little bit ahead there of the number 21. So no score for the Barbarians, and the Impalas have an opportunity to finally get out. It almost looked like they were going to get a fresh 5 there for a second.
Man, incredible stand by Indy. They're basically leaning on their defense because Denver seems to be on attack. 2 moves makes 3 defenders' ankles never be the same again. Unfortunately, their ankles will always live at the Chicago Blaze field, but the defensive stand is not over. After multiple phases right there, Indy find a way to get the ball back on the penalty. And now with a line-out opportunity, they really can stretch the field and get themselves away from their back end. But, man, what a defensive bit of play from this Indy Impala side.
Schroeder gets it, and then a bunch of passes lead to a big hit on Barton, but it might have just been because the defense was in front of that onside line. So with an offsides call, Temple are making the decision as to what they should do. They find it in the boot. And off of a center kick, the distance looks good and it gets them out of trouble, but we'll take a look at what happened here.
Yeah, they were already moving before the line out was over. Referee got a little help from his ARs, I believe, or maybe it was a late hit there. But big contact from this Denver side. They're not backing down defensively either. But we're talking about 4 penalties as Denver near or around their attacking 22 has basically disrupted any opportunity they had to add to this 1-point lead that they have. But Indy's defense, all heart. I am very impressed by how Indy is handling this Barbo's attack right now.
And Schroeder able to use his rugby IQ, gets the fake in the front, so then he's got more time to bring it down. And Marsh buys them a little bit more time with a big run up, but it looks like it's got stripped out of hands, and it's just heartbreak after heartbreak for the Impalas as the Barbarians go on the attack there. Captain Warmer takes the ball straight into contact there. And we just see the Barbarians starting to work their phases, trying to get over the top was the number 9. He's unsuccessful though, so the Impalas are able to go ahead and pick it off here. And this is the closest they've been out of this end in a while. But the Barbarians not wanting to give an inch there, flooding in all of the bodies. It's stripes, it's white and black. We're trying to see what's going on there. Looks like there's a ruck finally formed after the ball ends up in the hands of the Barbarians. They're going to go ahead and set the attack. Interior launch looks good though, as the Barbarians hold strong in their possession. Moving it away from the pressure area are the Barbarians. They get into the hands of Pavlakis. Pavlakis finally brought to ground. Does so well at keeping his footing in the ruck. Looks like the 9 is a little bit slow to get there, so the forwards move it to the 10, who then kicks it over, and then a kickback comes in from the 15. Barbarians getting back there. They're at the 22. Electing for a kick now is Kilfoyle off the left-hand foot. It doesn't find touch. Maybe it did. It looks like we might have also gotten a penalty here.
Offsides on the kicking team. Didn't retreat back. And they want to take it from where the kick happened, so now they're going to get even more meterage. And that is just a great stand by Indy. Bend but don't break, and Denver makes the mistake. Now Indy, about 30-something meters away from their try line, with an exceptional opportunity right here. They're taking the scrum. I mean, and this is how a game can really switch as far as momentum. They've been playing defense, strong defense, for the past 12 minutes at least. They found a way after multiple penalties to really clear their lines and relieve some pressure. And now they have a chance, finally with ball in hand. The key is not to get frantic and act as though you've been starved for the ball, but in fact, treat it as if this is your opportunity and no need to force anything. Just play your brand of rugby.
Scrum looks good for the Impalas, and the last time that they were down in this end, they were able to get a penalty kick, which turned it into a 1-point game. Denver just not able to score at all this half, so the Impalas are just going to have to play really good attack here. A little bit late to the party, though, was LeMaster, and so then he gets bullied over the top there, puts Temple under pressure, and somebody ends up with it. Looks like somebody might have gotten their hand in there as well. And referee not happy with that either. And this is right where they wanted to be last time. If they go for a kick, they could put this on top. And Temple, this is an easy range for them. This is exactly what happened. Not even about 15 minutes ago for the side.
I mean, and at the point that we're at right now, Denver has no one to blame but themselves under the circumstances. Multiple opportunities to get points on the board, multiple opportunities to lean to the strength of their side. But Indy just won't quit, won't die. And right here, offsides call. That's the AR helping on this one. And the same gentleman, after that knock on right there, he is not in the right position. And unfortunately, after what would have been a regular knock on, now it's offsides penalty. And these 3 points right here can really shape how the last 15 minutes of this match is going to go. Incredible bit of defense by Indy. And they're rewarded with opportunity from 3 points, which they convert.
Praise at the Temple here as he makes it through the post. So Temple, the number 9, brings that score 16-14, and they are finally back on top after they led at the beginning of this match. We've got about 15 minutes left to go here for this D2 Northern Regional Championship, and both teams are vying for a spot to compete for the number 1 in the country for USA Club Rugby in the D2. So both teams are really going to have to vie for it as we now get into a 2-point difference. Trying to pin them down in this end is the Barbarians, as the Impalas now just have to maintain possession for 14 minutes. But continuing to keep the brigade going. We've got some subs who also rolled in for the Impalas, so the finishers now really going to have to step up here as Anari goes to boot. lands it perfectly and just slices in between the 14 and the 15. But a nice little alley-oop back inside, gets a kick going underway. It goes behind the back of Marsh, but he catches it well, moves it to the wing, and it looks like it might have just gotten knocked forward there by the number 15. Oh, and Grenfell just you lose his hands on the ball for just a second. And so now it's going to put Denver right back in this end. Could the 3 points that the Impalas just scored be enough fire to get them the points that they won as well?
Yeah, and that's one of those situations where he had more time than he believed he did. He had an opportunity to just stop, relax, use the 22, get the ball off the pitch. Their defense has been leading the charge anyway, but instead he advances the ball, found himself with a little bit of less time than he thought he had, even though he had abundance of time from the start. And that errant pass gives Denver a great platform to attack. Can Indy continue this defensive streak that they've had so far, though?
Indy continues to dominate at scrum time, and that forces the Barbarians' back attack to be under a lot of pressure, just not buying them a lot of time. It does lead, though, to the ball being available there, and a knock-on comes in against the Barbarians, so Temple will now get to scrum on the opposite side of the pitch.
Yeah, and the Barbos just seem to find themselves offensively, structurally, find themselves worse off and worse off. Space was on the outside, didn't move it, and after that tackle happened, try to release it early. You got Impalas players flying over the ball trying to get to it, but the Denver guys that were supporting just couldn't get clean hands on it, knocked the ball on, and the referee again is calling a signal in the Impalas' favor after a defensive showcase where they shut down the back line of the Barbos.
Scrum underway, and there is a competition there at the front row as it kind of collapses within itself. We see the arm go out, and Temple gets it from the 8-man. They move it to the center. Barton gets it, and now he's on the move. We haven't really seen him in open space, but he always makes some meters whenever he works it. Marsh just seems to have needed to kind of play cleanup crew there after a possible knock-on. Referee taking a stroll on back. We'll see what the call is. But a little over 10 minutes to go here.
Maybe he's going back to that scrum, the re-scrum, or maybe the penalty that happened at the scrum. Yeah, looks as though it's the penalty that happened at the scrum after Indy lost the ball going it wide. But again, great opportunity, kick for space. Indy is actually treating it as if they don't have the lead right now. You can take a breath. You can figure out the circumstances right now. The pressure isn't super high at the moment. Get the ball off the pitch. Set yourself up for a forward pack that's been exceptional in all of these set pieces that they had. And let's see if they can get around the corner like they just did. They had great numbers on the attack right there, stretching out that Denver defense, needing help from the inside of that winger to shut down on the edge. But now Denver has to showcase a bit of that defense in order to stop this Impala team, who's had a bit of the momentum thanks to sound defensive structure.
Talked about the tale of two semis for both of these northern regional sides. Earlier, we saw the Growlers, who went into overtime yesterday. They fell to South Buffalo, who are going to go for the D2 women. And the Impalas were down, but who's not down is Barton. After a nice inside gap, he offloads it to the number 11, who's working to get over the top there. And the Impalas, can they add some more points on the board? Marsh moves it to Grenfell. Grenfell is almost in that try zone. They do get it in, and the Impalas, this is the tail ending that we wanted for the semis. After they made it down by a last-minute try, they get in another last little bit of a try. And so now Indy are just propelling away off of a lead.
Yeah, Denver's struggling to get points. And Indy, with that move right there, the dummy switch, crash line, offload with the one-hand swing. And this ball carrier right here to spin, getting two guys off of him. And look how quickly Indy gets the ball out. The Barbos have no defensive structure at this point. One-on-one tackles need to be made in almost heroic fashion, and it cannot happen. The Barbos defense is split open by that set piece play. And this kick right here is the game, essentially, as we sit right now with how the defense of Indy has been going so far. If they extend this to more than a converted try lead, Denver are on dangerous time. And they're in danger of not having an opportunity to repeat as the D2 national champions. We are talking about the reigning national champions on the brink of elimination. This conversion by Michael Temple is as important of a kick as any for Indianapolis, and he's looking at time, making sure the referee is keeping him honest as far as time go. But this is the most important kick in Indy history this year, and no good. The game's still in reach for the Barbos. Their championship aspirations are still alive. But man, what a play. How quickly this ball came out for the Impalas. You still got Denver guys getting back. Their defensive structure is absolutely torn to shreds. And Sean Grenfell fell into the green, gets his try for his team. And now Indy, take a deep breath, rely on that defense, play territorial, and you might find yourself in Austin in 2 weeks.
Impalas is only needing to maintain possession, and the Barbarians are going to have to do whatever they can to get it back. They go straight to the boot to try and relieve some pressure. Grenfell gives it a nice whack downfield, and they field it cleanly. They've got about 5 people in the backfield, and they've got the ability to move it. Kilfoyle gives a nice bounce pass to the wing who's waiting for it. He gets tossed to ground, though, with a beautiful chase coming in from the Impalas. They've got to try and get the ball back so that the Barbos don't have the opportunity to score. Schultz has to come in. They've got room to work it to the left if they can find it, but elect to use their forward pods there, and the Impalas trying to get back possession. If they can just move it outside of that third defender, there's space. Kilfoyle recognizes it, moves it to the center, and now there's a little bit of promise showing out here as he gets brought to ground. A little bit of a hit over the top, finds it in the hands of Tawny. Tawny almost got isolated, but the Barbarians need to maintain possession. The support comes in. Staying fit in the contact is the Impalas as they go straight for ankles with the low body height, and the Fens coming in from the Barbarians keep them afloat here. Kilfoyle moves it to the hands. It's now within the hands of the center, taking it right at the line. And then a beautiful tackle by Ney brings him straight to ground. Double tackles, get an offload though. So there's still creativity happening within this Impalas attack. Kilfoyle's got to come in and play 9 as he's able to finally get over into the 50-meter channel. Everybody's having to play scrum half here. They move it inside to Schultz. Schultz loses it off of an inside line there, and so now the Impalas will attack. They're over the 50, finding themselves on the flip side. Can they hold on to this ball for the next 5.5 minutes? Temple moves it behind the back of referee. They go to the boot to try and relieve some pressure. And back in the backfield is the number 11. A nice pass goes to Pivlakis. Pivlakis kits it away, goes over the head of Marsh. Since we've been in the thick of it for about 2 minutes, I'm running out of breath just talking. Marsh finally goes to the boot and kicks it straight out, and that'll be our first stoppage in about 2 minutes.
And again, tactically playing. Barbos are going to the, Indy is going to the boot. Barbos had to return fire, and the tactical game is back on again. But with short time, Denver doesn't have the luxury of going back and forth with the kicks. They got to find a way to break through this almost impenetrable Indy defense with less than 5 minutes to go in this matchup.
Barbarians will have the line out. Captain Wormer looks like he's the intended target as they go to the middle. Just a one-handed off of the side. It gets it away, and Kilfoyle's got it in the hands. They move it to the centers where they're met quickly. Ball is available and out, and Captain Wormer has to come around. He moves it to Southworth, and something that doesn't happen normally for Southworth, he gets taken to ground quickly. Looks like we've got a player down over there on the right side. It's a Barbarian. And the pressure that comes on, and the bit of a line break, a one-handed offload, and then a toss out of bounds, though, with the creativity coming on for the Impalas and the Barbarians. Looks like we might have some players that are just slow to get up here as the time just ticks away.
Conversation between referees. There go Purvey from Denver. The Physios found herself on the field multiple times this matchup. Such a physical game. And right here, the referee looks at the line, waves his flag in the air, and tries to cancel. Unfortunately, he tried to slide cancel, but the referee gave him consideration for it. AR tried to slide cancel. Referee gave him consideration for it, and now there's a conversation to see who ball it is.
Looks like the ball might have stayed in, and the contest goes up. It goes in favor of the Impalas after they worked to get in front there. It wasn't Impala line out. They bring in all of the forwards now because about 3 minutes is all they need in order to get their spot there if they can hold on to possession there. Barbarians, though, we're going to start throwing in bodies to try and disrupt this ball, maybe get a knock on of some sort. So it'll be tiring stuff here for the Impalas. But it looks like the forwards are more than happy to keep it tight, doing a good job of maintaining possession now as they form a line of attack here. Backs just asking a lot from their forwards, and forwards happy to do it.
Tick, 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 tick.
And Lance, if you're a Barbarian here, we see them kind of leave the rucks alone because there's not a lot of options. What do you think would be the tactic if you just know that you're without possession of the ball?
A bit of it has to be not worrying about getting hands on the ball, but stepping over the counter ruck instead of reaching for the ball immediately. Just meeting people over the top of the ball and trying to get a surge push over the top. But man, this Indy team is on top of it.
And as we continue to press on here, the Impalas are holding strong here, but the Barbarians are really going to have to do a lot here. We see someone come in from the side, and that's exactly what the Impalas want. They wanted a penalty there. And we just see a lot of tired bodies here on the floor, Lance. The contact just looks like tiring stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And Denver is fighting frantically as the dying light of their season is upon them. They must find a way to not only get the ball back, but also put in a converted try. As I said before, dangerous times for this Denver side, but Indy is playing it as smart as they possibly can. Slow roll, picking goals, not wasting any moments to allow the referee to get involved unless it's against Denver, and great bit of forward play by Indy. And let's see if they go shopping to the mall for this one to waste a little bit more time.
This lineout's important, and the Impalas know that, so they are able to get it cleanly after they find Nay. Nay gives it to Temple, who gives it to a forward pod, and we'll see if the forwards can lead this team to victory here. A nice big shove, though, comes in for the Barbarians. Slightly off guard here, but they continue to remain vigilant in their quest for that regional championship. Winner of this match, which is looking like it's going to be the Impalas, will play in Texas May 17th, 18th, and 19th, where we will be bringing you all the action. And Lance, 2 penalties now by the Barbarians. It looks like we've only got about 20 seconds to go on our own time, so we'll see what the decision is, but looks like the Barbarians will not see Texas.
And that lady is singing congratulations to the Indy Impalas for taking this game over in the second half. Absolute brilliant defense throughout this matchup, and you're looking at your Northern Super Regional champions. Congratulations to the Denver Barbos and their season. Unfortunately unable at a shot at repeating for the championship, but what a game by Indy.
So now we've got the Grand Rapids D2 team as well as the Impalas coming at you live May 17th, 18th, and 19th for championship weekend. A couple of thank yous that we've got to give to the Midwest Rugby Union for giving us the opportunity to set it up. The facilities were wonderful. The tournament team at USA Rugby Club to make the dreams of playing a reality. And then obviously shout out to the crew. We love you guys. And the one that is for every single one of us, especially our one and only Ginty. Thanks for making this happen. You're going to have to tune in with us the 17th through the 19th, where myself, John Broker, Lance Kavanaugh will be talking shop about club rugby, and shout out to the commentators. We'll see you soon, team. Thanks so much.
I need it all for them, so no, I cannot waste time. Facing these oceans, feel the water on my waistline. We trust the process and my only know it takes time. You can get it, got no worries, I'm gonna make mine. Going global, I'ma get it out the state lines. Paying taxes at a more than what you make now. Different bracket, eating off a different plate now. I need my ends. This life is real. If they pretend, ain't off the bench. I get it in.